Welcome to Psychic Evolution with evidential psychic medium Jamie Clark and spiritual coach and healer Maggie Clark.
And welcome back to another episode of Psychic Evolution. I'm Jamie Clark.
And I'm Maggie Clark, and this is the podcast where you discover the psychic potential within to empower yourself and manifest your psychic and mediumship gifts.
And your abilities are so natural, they're supernatural.
And today, we're going to talk about house clearings and house blessings. And we're going to discuss what effects people are experiencing that they feel the need to call in for a clearing or blessing, why and how this happens, and what to do about clearing these effects for your own home, your own office, your own car, wherever these events are happening.
And when you refine those and work with them more and more comfortably, it'll allow you to interact in a positive, safe, happy way. Funny, but true. That's why I always approach it in a positive way, is there's a lot to be excited and safe about.
So the reason people call for a house clearing are usually because they're experiencing some kind of effect and they are either uncomfortable with it or actually just don't want it, or they want to understand it. There's a lot of depending on the situation. So they might be hearing things, they might be seeing things, they might have caught things on camera that are inexplicable. There might be objects moving involuntarily, a little bit of poltergeist activity. There may be apport. There might be an object that's possessed and or EVPs that they're catching that they're uncomfortable with whatever it is that they're hearing through those EVPs. So there's a lot of reasons that people will call for a clearing or a house blessing or need to learn how to do this for themselves.
Sometimes they'll feel like they're being watched and they're like, we don't see anything, but it's weird. We can feel it. It's palpable. And so it becomes a very strong fear. And that tends to become like nourishment, depending on the being or the dimension. But a lot of times, those circumstances where they feel helpless will allow them to empower themselves to go, maybe we need some assistance with this, at least to get it started and adjusted. Because when these are happening and you don't understand it and you don't quite know what to do, you're always in a reactive state going, what else is going to happen? And then you're in that freaky deaky mode, and then it will perpetuate that pattern. It'll keep that channel open and they won't even realize why it's staying open. So when we come in, and we're going to get into working with your team and a variety of other different tools and techniques so that you can keep yourself safe as well. And of course, if you ever need any assistance in any way, be open to connect with whoever you might feel comfortable to get some insight with. Truly, all it's about the empowerment of these experiences, changing those realities in a powerful, palpable way.
We want to dedicate this whole episode just on all these things so that you are empowered. By the end of listening to this episode, you're going to feel empowered. You're going to have an idea of what you can do about it, what space and what intention you can hold, and how you can help your home, other people's homes, or even just to bless your home. Even if your home doesn't need clearing, but you want to raise the vibration of your home or your workplace or wherever you may be, this also works for house blessings. It's not always about clearing, it's about adding positive energy too.
And being able to shift that energy, because everything is energy, dimensions, light, and frequencies. And so when you can learn a little bit more, and, again, we can only function with what we're aware of, but we're doing pretty good at having some knowledge at how to work with these dynamics. And when we can use the practicality of spirituality, meaning there are many different ways to clear energy, and it becomes, what are you comfortable with? For you could use a cross, rosary beads, a Bible, or a Superman doll and be just as effective with any of those, because what it becomes is the intent of the acceptance of that reality. If I hold this object or I put this object in connection with it, it will keep me safe. It is that loving, positive energy. And what they sometimes don't realize is they've now infused that energy intent a vibrational pattern that will emanate a positive, loving, radiant energy. So now we're starting to see that so things can seem to be seemingly possessed as objects, one way or another.
So, some of the reasons that we get a lot is people accidentally or consciously open up a portal or a doorway. And this is a portal or a doorway through to either another realm, another dimension, could be a parallel universe, it could be a lot of different things. But portals open and they open most of the time accidentally when people are dabbling in things that they don't understand or they're performing ceremonies, initiations, invocations, and they're calling in frequencies. When you put out a calling card to the universe, remember, energy like attracts like. So you put something out like, "Oh, I want to open up a doorway between this realm and another."
And any doorway of connection. Man, there are so many different dynamics and one dimension you can connect with, and the portal or other doorways of consciousness can be used again positively or as we perceive it negatively. And it becomes that kind of intent that, again, we accept that reality either connected to the object or what the mantras and words might share as vibrational patterns. I keep pointing out the fact that positive or negative, remember, experience, it's all an experience. It only holds the value we place upon it. And then that's why I always push that sharing, that it is what you accept as reality. There's as many worlds as there are perceivers. Nobody sees it the same, yet each just as real and just as valid. Then you're able to start realizing how you can co create realities with others and also separate realities with others. You can create multiple realities within one location or one circumstance.
So these portals can be opened, when we're working with something, dabbling in something, opening up something that we don't fully understand. Sometimes we get information and we're like, "Oh my gosh, I can open up between the worlds of living and the dead or the worlds of spirit and matter. I can like put myself in this beautiful space. Awesome, let me try it." Well, okay, you're trying it, but are you setting up safety? Are you calling in high frequencies of energy? What are you doing when you open those portals? We've seen so many different ways of them opening. It can open through a gift that someone gives you, a new thing that you're learning. They can open through object.
Also, sometimes through emotional states, through different dynamics of whether you tend to overuse drugs or drink or whatever the case is, it becomes an energy vibe that can sometimes be like nourishment to the souls coming through. And then a lot of people won't understand what's happening because what they'll sometimes do, and the spirit energy, if that's what it is, will also start to enter your dream state, and then it starts to mess with you in that dream state. So as you kind of wake up, you're now pulling that metaphysical, that astral experience and connection into the physical location of wherever it is you're at. So they can get you to inadvertently sometimes create a portal of your own.
And another reason why people might call for a house clearing or blessing is there are spirits in their home. Some of these spirits, people can see them walking around doing XYZ. Sometimes people hear the spirits. Sometimes people feel someone sitting on their bed, which is super creepy, super, super creepy. And so these spirits or these entities are somehow in your home or in your space. And how do you feel about this? Sometimes this spirit or entity might be a continuation of a pattern, an energetic pattern that is replaying from an event that occurred in that space from a long time ago as well. That's another way that those spirits can look like they're having activity there. And if they were feeling intense emotions at the time that something really intense happened, a lot of times those energetic patterns are put on replay. And a lot of the spirits that we see might be just a loop energy playing itself out from an intense, energetically, emotionally charged experience.
And that you happen to be tapping into. And it's the etheric experience because any experience that is ever done is registered in the ethers. It's kind of like a recording. And so that's exactly like Mag is saying is it's like a loop because there are times where some people have had an experience to go, it was weird. I was seeing this scene and these people, but they didn't see me. It was odd. I don't know. Like, right. What if that was ether peaking? Meaning you are now going interdimensional and kind of like what you just experienced where they weren't seeing you, but you could view them is the exact same way as for the other side or a lot of other dimensions because it's all one, it's all merging, it's all connected.
Another reason people call for house clearing are interdimensionals. So these are beings from different dimensions, different realities, different universes potentially. And the question is, how did they get there? If a doorway opens, I mean, this could include fairies, gnomes, leprechauns, things that we can see with our eyes if our eyes are open to see, but things that we've been told don't exist and they're not real. Some of those are definitely real. Jamie and I have both had experiences and seen things from interdimensionals and elementals that are completely real. And sometimes just the curiosity around those can open up a doorway. And then all of a sudden, they're in your home. And some people want to keep them around. Some people are uncomfortable with having something they can't actually see with their own physical eyes in their home. So they would want to do a clearing for that. It just depends on how you feel about this interdimensional and if you're inviting it into your space or if you don't want it there.
And not only that, but there are times where I have seen it's happened once in my life where I saw elemental, a fairy, going from I'm sitting in the living room, my eyes were open, my eyeballs were open physically, and I'm seeing it. It's coming from the right and it's going to the left. And as it is, it's like a golden kind of energy. And there was picture on Facebook that I saw a number of years ago going, that's exactly what it looked like. And so there was no facial features, but it had what looked like wings. And as it was just going from the right to the left, I'm closing and opening my eyes like, what the flag nog? I want to make sure it's not just me making stuff up. And it stayed there. And then as it got to the left and off to the side, disappeared. I had no choice but to go, I don't understand it. I just experienced it. And for me, those who know me go, I question everything. Please be skeptical about everything. Just be open. That moment, I had no choice but to go, that just happened. And I'm able to pull from that because, one, putting it to the test physically, going, I was seeing it physically. Now it gets even more real because you now have a physical reference in this dimension.
In this season, season 4, in episode 2, when we were interviewing Tom Dongo, he told this amazing story about someone catching a leprechaun. And physically you could see it and they were holding it and it was struggling. We actually didn't put that in the episode because we had an amazing conversation with Tom that lasted for hours. But that is in our unedited version of that podcast episode, which you can find on our Supercast page, which the link is in the show notes. So if you want to join the Inner Eye membership, you get all the unedited podcasts. But anyway, it was an awesome story about someone catching a leprechaun and it just struggling around and like being crazy. And but these things are real and they happen to people and they happen all the time. And so these interdimensionals would also include, Bigfoot, which there's stories of
Mhm.
Bigfoot in the unedited version as well in that episode. That was such a fun interview. So, speaking of Tom Dongo, he's a UFO researcher, but ETs are also another thing that you might get called for a house clearing or house blessing. And ETs are extraterrestrials. And I've had experiences where they've come into my home and I've been able to see them with my eyes. And
Can you share what did they look like?
well, these extraterrestrials were blue and they were shorter, maybe 4 feet. I want to say 4 or 5 feet tall at the most. They walked completely into my room through the walls, just like they weren't even there, just walked through the walls. There was 3 of them as they entered And I remember seeing them, registering what I was seeing, and then I closed my eyes for just a moment, and then I woke up hours later. So it was really, really fascinating. I was very comfortable with these extraterrestrials, though. They felt amazing. They felt loving. They felt super positive. I did not do a clearing on that. I actually opened myself up to the extraterrestrial dimension so that I could learn how to integrate whatever it was I was integrating at that time.
Is that how you knew it was an extraterrestrial as opposed to another interdimensional or a spirit being?
There's an inner knowing. I mean, obviously they look like extraterrestrials, but nothing that I've ever seen on television. But they didn't feel like an elemental, interdimensional. Although, who's to say that they're not extraterrestrials too, right? I mean, we're all from somewhere doing something.
And we're ETs to everyone else. It's very relative. Truly, we're already ETs.
So sometimes the extraterrestrials, some people are comfortable with them in their home. Some people aren't. I've heard stories of people going, "Oh, no, 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 you don't know. No, 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 you're not welcome here." And so that's something that you wanna keep in mind. What is your relationship to them? Are you comfortable with them? What are they doing in your home? And how do they feel? And remember, those feelings are really, really important because for me, I felt trust, love, connection, understanding, and I was very comfortable.
But notice what you're saying. Those feelings equated to information. That's what I always say is those feelings are vibrational patterns on the soul knobs, and one feeling can be worth 1,000 words and then some. That's why it can be an instantaneous and more effective feeling energy than a thinking energy. Because for me, I found when I'm thinking, I'm trying to use my own reference of my reality as I perceive it. When I'm feeling, I have the unified acceptance of receiving information untainted, always clear, safe, and harmonized, but I know that I'm receiving the information.
We just wanted to take a quick moment to share with you our upcoming live podcast event, the first one ever. Check it out.
Hey guys, I'm Jamie Clark,
And I'm Maggie Clark.
and we're the hosts of the Psychic Evolution podcast. We want to let you know about our first live psychic evolution event, an evening under the stars in beautiful Cave Creek, Arizona.
On November 27th, 2021, we are opening up the night with a sound bath for the soul with crystal bowls and intuitive healer Harmony Fonseca from season 3 of the podcast, and also a guided meditation to help heal Mother Earth.
And then we are welcoming spiritual guide Rebecca Cutehands for a live recording of the podcast with a special episode called Healing for the Planet.
Following the live recording, we're going to be offering gallery readings for the audience. So for more information and to register, please visit psychicevolution.net.
We look forward to seeing you and having fun with our psychic evolution.
It's all about the evolution of your psychic senses.
Your psychic evolution.
Another reason that sometimes you call a house clearing is you'll receive a gift or you'll buy an object. And those objects sometimes can be conduits or things that create doorways or portals open to other types of energies as well. Usually that is in accompaniment with another vibration that's already in the home to allow it in to begin with, or something that is like a crack or a crevice in your safety mechanisms or something.
And to a certain extent, as soon as you bring that into the house, you've already given it permission to exist there. So if you don't have an intent before it's set up, you never know what you're going to get.
I remember receiving a bracelet years ago. I wore it for a while and everything, but then I remember I had met my teacher, my mentor, and he says, "Can I see that bracelet for a minute?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And I handed it to him and he just held it in his hands and he handed it back and said, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I was just clearing it. There was some, vibrations there that, were just attached to that object and it didn't need to be there in your energy." And I was like, "Thank you." So that's something to keep in mind. Someone gifted me this bracelet. It was really cool. I mean, I loved it. The design was really pretty. And I was wearing it around like da 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 do do do, but I had no understanding of the energy that was attached to the bracelet. I didn't feel it. And of course, I was young. I was just opening up to my gifts. So these are things just to be aware of that sometimes even something that you're not aware of is you're vibing with that energy on some level because it's already in the bracelet. Maybe someone else wore that bracelet and their energy residue is on that object.
Or an intent was infused within it. But notice what your teacher was saying. There was energies in your energy field going, right. It was now amplifying in your energy field, your thoughts, the connection, the energy, and what you're attracting. Because now you're starting to vibe with whatever energy is there that you may not necessarily be aware of, but yet you're functioning. Because as Meg was saying, it was beautiful, it was great, but she didn't know everything. And I'm kind of like your teacher, and that is I purify everything. I'm not silly. Everything has been connected to a thought pattern, vibration, or it wouldn't be created. So there's that time to go, just for myself, I'm very much aware of the fact that if I bring an object in, like I said, I'm giving permission of whatever energy is connected to it, unless I put intents that can start to play around in the house. Sometimes it will affect all of the occupants in that place, but not all of the time does that happen.
You have precision in where you place every object in your home.
It's the feeling of the energy, the vibration, the patterns that I set literally everything by how it feels. And so to me, it just creates an energy vibe through the entire house that a lot of clients can feel. And they tend to go, wow, this feels like a very nice place. I'm like, well, thank you. And then I'll share with them sometimes, what I do in that capacity, why it might feel a certain way.
Yeah. So be aware of the objects that you bring into your home. And then, this isn't to scare you. This is just to let you know that this does
This
happen. Now, there's other reasons to call for a clearing or a blessing. Some people just want good energy in their home.
And the dynamic is, remember, with that intent, it is all about intent. It's a vibrational pattern of energy. You can also set an intent within a house of a writer that's having writer's block. And yet you can put an intent, a vibrational pattern of clear, creative receptivity of information, of writing, and they begin to write and just receive information. Or the intent of a blessing that the occupants in that house have an even stronger, clearer, more loving connection just by being in the energy. But wait a minute, if we're in that energy and it's now radiating in our energy field, no matter where you go, you're vibing with that energy. And unless clear your energy or whatever the case is, then you'll wear that vibe. And the great thing is it can be the intent of positive, loving, empowering energy. It doesn't have to be the scary stuff. And when you can realize that it's all energy, and that's why you can either use it one way or another, right? Because what's beneficial for one may not be beneficial for the other and vice versa. So it's all relative. But it's also that ability to gain more information of, well, if that is in my energy field and all I have to do is let it be there, and then it can connect with other people. And in this case, if it's a loving relationship, now you're vibing with that in your energy, and people will sometimes feel it to go, you feel very loving, very nice. And it'll be a great thing because you're not saying anything. You're just being you, but they're feeling, wait a minute, there's those feeling things, that connection of energy. It will share with them what your soul and thoughts are vibing with.
And another reason people might call is they have loved ones on the other side, and some people need clarification around it. Some people need understanding. Some people aren't comfortable with that. We, of course, invite our loved ones in all the time because we want them to visit us, but that's not for everybody. And so there might be some dialogue that people need to have with their loved ones on the other side.
There are a number of times where we've done a house clearing, and I've done a few of those on my own. And in some of the connections, the occupants of the home are making connections with their loved ones on the other side as we perceive it, and sometimes the oddball energies around, and they won't understand what to do. And so when they call upon me, I'll ask them, "Well, what are the parameters that you're looking for?" Because I want the intent vibe, right? And so they'll say, "Well, I don't want those negative, scary energies, but I want my loved ones to be here to be able to keep that connection. I don't know what to do because if I allow one, am I allowing the other?" And so I'll share the fact that you can set an intent, a dimensional, in this case, a neural soul way, where only your loved ones, the vibrational patterns, their soul print of consciousness. That's why you don't fool the universe. Only your loved ones will be allowed into your home in whatever way you would like. Any other oddball energies, you are completely invisible to. You do not exist. So you can create different dimensions of connection. Loved ones stay in here, and I want to keep that connection because it feels good. But I also feel even better because I don't have to worry about oddball energies in connection with my loved ones too. Now it's a cleaner, clearer, purer channel that they feel more comfortable to make even better, stronger connections with their loved ones because they now know for certain anyone that's there is good. And so I just want to share one of the experiences I've had with a next door neighbor, very cool family. And they had a couple of dogs, and they were sharing the fact that the dogs, for the past number of days, were terrified to go up the stairs. They would not go up. They were freaked out. And so they didn't quite understand what was going on. So they called me over and like, hey, can you do anything? So I started vibing the place, opened up mentally and mediumship wise. And I wanted to see if I could connect with anyone or thing that was there. And so I'm being drawn up to the top of the stairway. And on the top, there's this gentleman standing there, and he had a J name, and there was a variety of other validations. Well, my neighbor acknowledged the fact that there was a family member who had graduated who was right along those lines. And he would always stand at the stairway for whatever reason. Well, in making that connection, we respectfully knew that for him to pull back and not disturb them unless they wanted that to happen. Well, I said, just let me know what happens over the evening and see if they even come up in any way. But it feels pretty clear, and they were very effective to step back and make sure. Well, that very night, they ran up the stairs and everything was great. And it was a great validation to go, well, whatever you did seemed to work. That's why I always want to go, well, I could talk all I want, but what's the end result of what I'm talking about? Otherwise, it's just a bunch of words. When you can share that, and then the occupant of the home can feel that energy shift, like it feels cleaner, it feels safer. I'm like, great, notice how much you feel that energy. So that's how sensitive you are because you can feel whether it's a good or a challenging energy. And they tend to get a realization to go, maybe I am reading energy. I'm like, right, exactly. Everyone's a psychic medium. It's do you want to use it and what level do you want to take it to? And that's another intent. Wait a minute. You could intent that mediumship with love, compassion, and safety with your loved ones. Now you're vibing on that neural soulway, on that channel of connection with your loved ones. So it can create a clearer, stronger connection with your loved ones.
And their dogs wouldn't even go up the stairs, and right after that, they were like, "Oh, no problem, we do." Dogs and animals are just so sensitive to frequencies of energy, high vibe, low vibe, and if anything makes them uncomfortable, sometimes they're just like, "No, I will not go up those stairs." So, you might notice your animals having strange behavior. That's another thing that we get called on is how to clean these situations. First off, how to clean and clear your own home so that it's always going to be safe and beautiful and positive, and then how to get rid of things that are in your home that you're just done with.
So, one of the techniques that I do for my home, because I work from my home for the past 20 something years, and I will always make sure that my home is safe and clean and cleared. So, the technique that I use, and I don't hope and believe it works, I know it works. That is the difference between the reality of reaction. Meaning, if you hope and believe, you're not fooling the universe. You're, and they can feel that. You know it, and it's a solid vibration. So, what I do, and I want you to imagine in your mind, right in the center of your home, wherever you are, in the center of your home is a pure white light star. This is God love, safety, harmony, any intent that you want to put within it. And so, as that bright light is right there shining, the first action of this white light star is going to be doing an implosion, starting to expand through the inner dimensional frequencies, pushing out any and all negative lower energies like a dark mist, now clean, cleared, and sealed interdimensionally. Now, coming back to this physical reality in the center of your home, I want you to see that starlight energy expand through your physical home that you're in. and cleaning, clearing the energy always, in all ways, with love, safety, and harmony, and accepting it and giving gratitude that it is. And the more that you accept it as a reality, the more consistent it stays there. That's why you can create new realities by just a thought. And so now it becomes a dynamic of giving the occupants of the home some information to work with. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of times where the occupants feel this shift in energy and it feels amazing. And then they start comparing how amazing it feels to how it did feel with the other energies. And what they don't realize is they're now starting to open that connection again to that. My thing is, see the old pattern? Let it be the old pattern. Function from the new one because that new acceptance, safety, and harmony will vibe consistently in that way.
And after a clearing, sometimes you're like looking for what you just cleared. And that act of looking for it draws it right back. And so remember your thoughts and your intentions they have to be on point, especially if you really don't want something in your space that's been in your space. You don't go thinking about it like, oh, I didn't notice it today. Where'd it go? Because then all of a sudden it's almost like you just said, hey, are you here? Welcome back. And so that type of energy, you really want to be aware of your thought patterns. What are you thinking about and what is your intention? And the intention of cleaning and clearing a home is just that once you do it, it's done.
Now, there are also dynamics to energies in homes where it's a brand new home. And they're like, what the flag nog? This is a brand new home. How could I have spirit energy in there? It's a brand new. I don't understand that. And what they didn't understand was remember that ethers, any experience that ever happens? Well, in this case, that particular location, there was an experience that happened without houses being there and that energy residue, that loop energy, is now playing within that brand new house. And so, again, some of those blessings and positive energies go from when they have a brand new house, going, I want a clean start, want to have everything positive and happy and vibing. Perfect. And then when we can give you tools and techniques that please put these to the test. I always say, what's the end result? Otherwise, what are these mantras and meditations manifesting? Because I'm not going to do it if it's not working. I want the practical stuff. So, anyhow, we can give you these tools and techniques. It can allow you to empower yourself that now you're starting to see you can create new reality vibes in your own home, starting with yourself first. That's the key. Because when you can have that energy and you're focused on more of what you do like and do want rather than what you don't want. And again, it's training and discipline in the beginning. But when you get those reactions to go, man, it's staying clean and clear beautifully, perfect. Because you'll learn to not feed the negative stuff. Because even though most of us have the right intent, we'll tend to approach the problem more so than the solution.
And sometimes there's tag along energies where you're moving from one place to another, but that energy that's been with you will follow you. And you have the right to say, I want you to stay or I want you to come with me or not. This is a parameter that you can put in place as well. Another thing you can do besides the white light implosion, explosion for your home is putting your house in a safety bubble. Using the power of visualization, like visualizing this beautiful bubble around your home that's completely safe and sealed and it's around you as well, and it's beautiful and loving. You can use colors if you want. White is an all-inclusive energy because it has all the colors of the rainbow. A lot of people use a white light for this. I use pink. I love unconditional love. It's another way of just setting that in motion.
And again, that intent, the knowingness that what you're perceiving and what you're creating as a reality is real and can stay there. Because there are times where some people will do saging. And saging is lighting sage, and they'll start to do a clearing through the house. And they'll be smoking, and and they're out of here, and this is clean and cleared. And in the back of that person's mind who's doing that blessing or whatever the circumstance is not really believing it's working. They're hoping, going, I hope it's clearing this out. Okay. And you don't fool the other side because it's all energy. You don't fool the universe. Because when you're doing that, going, I hope it's working, the other side's like, Give me some more of that, dude, because you don't believe that. You just throwing them words out there. What ya? And so it becomes very powerful when you can refine and define that knowingness of, in this case, if you need an object to give you the empowerment of safety or blessings or any of that, good, use it. You truly are the magic.
Some of the objects that I am always drawn to are crystals, though. Something like a big rose quartz. Even if you don't have one, you can imagine it, just permeating that beautiful vibe. There are stones for protection. Smoky quartz is one. It has to be cleansed. Obsidian works amazing, but it needs to be cleansed. These stones that might draw negativity to it so it doesn't go other places in your home, they need to be cleansed often. There are some stones that don't need cleansing. I love a pink kunzite for that beautiful unconditional love, offers that level of in my situation, I think I wore one for like 8 years, but offered this beautiful vibe of just protection, and I don't need that stone, but it is a stone that doesn't have to be cleansed. So, you really wanna research what stones that you're working with to make sure that you're taking care of it, you're cleaning it properly if it is doing a function of drawing negativity to it instead of being other places in your home. And but I like programming stones. I like programming them for a job to do, giving them an intention, sharing my intention with it, whether you make a crystal grid or whether you just say, "Hey, beautiful stone, you look really pretty today, and will you just be a super positive vibe energy in my home? Thank you very much." And give gratitude.
You're bringing up an interesting point, and that is the intent of what you're doing. Now, can you, because there are apparently crystals that don't need to be clean and cleared and others that do. For myself, couldn't you put that on autopilot? Because if you can intend anything else, you can certainly intend the perpetuated pattern of safety or harmony or clearing. And then, exactly like Mag is bringing up, notice how you can see that in your mind. So no matter where you go, you are harmonized and safe automatically without having to think about it. It just is. Because that can be a wearing down and fearful thing. Did I remember to do that? Because and then you're freaked out, and then now you're infusing with that particular object. And then it vibes with that.
The real question is, are you ready to be powerful? That's the real question. Because if you know that your energy can cleanse something, then it can. Most people will doubt that they have that power. They'll give more power to the water that they're rinsing the stone with, or how they're charging their stones or cleansing their stones. Instead of just putting it in their own hands and doing it themselves, they will use something outside of them. Now, those are tools. Water is a great cleanser. So these are all tools. But you, like we always say, you are the magic wand. You are the tool. So give yourself the ability to be empowered with your own intentional life force energy. So if you're cleansing a stone, hold it in your hand and cleanse it. Just focus on that and it will cleanse the stone. So, yes, you can actually put all of that on autopilot as long as you believe that you have the power to do it. And that's what empowerment is all about.
And so that kind of brings up an interesting dynamic of the intent. Because to me, unless you've done the molecular structures and studies of the crystals and you know exactly what that meaning or that crystal does, on average, we're more than likely either looking from another person or another avenue information about that crystal because we don't have a clue. But then we'll read things and then we start equating those qualities to that crystal. And now you're giving it the power to go, yeah, but you're the one who's doing it. You're creating that information and infusing it. So now you can see in many different ways. You can keep that in your energy field. You can create it through your home and through different dynamics of your energy field of love, compassion, and empowerment.
So, in addition to all these tools, one of the best and most efficient ways from my experiences is to call in higher frequencies, such as the angels, the ascended masters, and let your spirit team help do the work. You do not have to do this alone. You go in to cleanse a home. I automatically ask my team to do XYZ. And as I'm in a home, I'm seeing my team, I'm watching what they're doing, I'm feeling the energy, and then I can see them escorting maybe someone out of the home. I can see them doing the work that needs to happen. I've seen them close portals. I've seen my team do all kinds of things because I'm giving them a job to do and I'm asking for their help all the time to do this for myself, but also for people that I work with. So this is important to really get in touch with some of those. And I love the angels and the ascended masters. I love that high vibe, positive frequency energy. It works amazing.
And not only that, your own team, your own psychic medium team, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the point. You're connecting at psychic medium. Now, I just want to share a fact of how you can multidimensionality a place, a location. There was a show I did many years ago called America's Psychic Challenge. And in one of the tests, we were taken to a hospital and we were, not given any information in any way about any of the tests until we got there to go, here, you're going to do this. And we're like, oh, okay. As I'm pulling up, there was a big sign that just read hospital. I'm like, yeah, okay, it's a hospital. Well, as I'm being driven in, I'm hearing in my mind sight screaming. I'm being shown clairvoyantly patients there that are being killed by apparently people who work there, infusing like medications or whatever the stuff was. And it was freaky deaky, man. And so in this particular test, we needed to go into this hospital and we had 30 doors, I think, to find this person. It was just one person. They were sequestered and quieted and all that. So there was no sound. But we needed to be able to target and find that person in the room. Well, again, before I'm even there, I'm hearing and seeing all of these things that are happening. And so as I walked into the place, it was saturated with that energy of consciousness, the residue. Now, in finding this, that one physical person, I was faced with the task of going, yeah, but here's the thing. Even with those viewpoints that there's nobody else around, there was always at least 30 people around different corners and different areas of positioning that were physical humans. And so now it became a fact that I need to find a human vibe within all of these human vibes around. What the? So before I even did anything, that energy was so crazy. I needed to walk out of that place and I called on my team and the angels and I said, please reorganize this pattern. What I need to do, and they already knew, but my communication for my own realization was I need to clean and clear the energy of the residue of the patients and any of those energies there. And then I also need to clean and clear the residue of any physical human bodies and soul prints that are there, but the one I'm targeting. Only that physical person is the one I'm going to target, that soul print of consciousness. And so I walked back in and it was very clean, very clear. And as I'm walking towards the hallway that went both ways, she, my master guide, is showing me a movie that was called One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And it was about an insane asylum where people were there. And so as I'm moving along, I'm sharing this with the host of the show and they didn't say anything, didn't allow to. And I'm like, well, I don't know. It's weird, but he keeps showing me that. And all I saw was a hospital. It just said hospital in the big sign outside. So I'm like, okay, well, whatever. And so I'm vibing the place. And off to the right, I didn't get any pull in any way. So I just threw my arm, yeah, nothing over there. And I walked to the left. Well, as I'm walking to the left, I'm coming around, there's like another 15 or 20 rooms. And as I'm coming through, I've got my hands up, vibing the energy. And I come across these couple of rooms and I'm drawn there and my energy was split and I didn't quite understand what was going on except that there was an energy read of two different rooms right next to each other. And so I'm vibing. I'm like, okay, well, this one on the left seems to have a heavier vibe. So strong potential is that could be the physical human. Well, I chose that one. But the interesting thing is as I was kind of vibing the doors off to the right side door in my mind, it was open. It was ajar. And I looked away and then I looked and it was closed. And then I didn't think about it until afterwards go, yeah, but had I paid attention to that open door to go, oh, choose this one, I would have found the person. So the dynamic was I was able to sectionalize realities, dimensions. One, neutralizing that energy of the other room. In this case, it was heavy enough to where it got my attention but didn't affect me. So I had that energy read to go, okay, so now I'm having to read a physical human with a potential energy vibration. It was that dynamic that I was right at the next room. However, with the energy read, I did literally target the room that this guy was in. So it was really cool that I could clean and clear the energy of the residue and the challenging craziness, and also the thoughts and all of those energies of the physical people and the camera crews and all that are always around. And it allowed me to only have a clean, clear, receptive energy to target that person. It seemed to work pretty well.
Really cool. And, Jamie and I do a lot of clearings together, and we come across all kinds of these situations. Some of them are a blending of these situations, some of them are individual. And regardless, there is always a way to clean and clear and harmonize your energy field and that of wherever you are, especially your home. And you can take this into your everyday life and bring it into your workplace and bring it into wherever you go and always feel like you're going to be safe.
And that's the big thing, because when you have your own intent and you get the end result of safety and harmony, it allows you to live life more than survive it. That's empowering.
And when needed, ask for help. That's always the key, right? If you don't have the wherewithal, if you don't remember everything we're talking about all the time, if you don't have the confidence yet, then absolutely ask for help. That's what people are here for. And find someone that you trust, find someone that has a really high vibe energy, find someone that's really efficient and that just know that you have the ability to do this on your own. It's your home, your life, your reality, and you're co creating it. So, taking that level of responsibility, taking that level of feeling powerful enough, that's your job. Your job is to move into that frequency where you've got this because you are developing your psychic evolution.
And these abilities are so natural, they're supernatural.
So, if you are enjoying this podcast and you want more, please visit our Supercast page. We have several different plans to choose from, including monthly training sessions, monthly meditations, unedited podcast episodes, and coming soon, we have also a tier for all of our classes. And we'll be putting more on monthly as well. So, please reach out to us and have fun developing your psychic evolution. Have fun with your safety. And we're sending all of you a beautiful house blessing in our heart.